development expert, Tarrant County Precinct Chair, and key architect of judicial accountability reforms within the Republican Party of Texas, RPT. Today announced his. So, when did you announce your candidacy for
Well,
RPT?
my formal announcement, the big brouhaha email to everybody and all that stuff after I do my TEC report, which I have sitting on my desk that I need to email, is going to come out on Friday.
Oh,
And so
nice.
that's the official day, but everybody slow rolls at the rumor mill. You got to, put your page up, all that. So I technically haven't announced so that nobody at the TEC decides to do any funky stuff to me. I'll be doing that on Friday after I send that piece of paper in.
So wow, that's great. So you're also you expanded censures to include judges, earning the 2024 Texas Scorecard Conservative Leader Award. Dr. McKenzie has consistently devastated corrupt officials and judges through targeted advocacy, exposing systemic abuses in family courts and the Department of Family and Protective Services. Wow, you're like the guy we've all wanted for so long, Dr. McKenzie. So thanks for joining us.
No, what I am is what you were for the military. I am for the RPT and for God. That's what
Sweet.
I do.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because we are at war. There's no question about that. A
No,
lot of people want
absolutely. Ephesians 6:12. I'm not battling Democrats and I'm not battling rhinos. I'm battling their minions and their familiars and the demons within which some of them live. Go look at James Tallarico's face when he speaks of scripture and watch the smirk and the twist in his eye, and you'll see the same thing that I do.
wow, very good, very good. And I know, we you have to know your enemy, Sun Tzu,
Mhm.
and you have to know yourself. So I think two gentlemen like ourselves, we know ourselves. We're, high morals, want the best for our country, for our families, and for God. And these Saul Alinsky types, uh, rules for radicals are basically destroying our country.
Well, so oh gosh, this story can go so many different ways. But anyway, I read a book at a time in my life that was it was a pivotal moment, let's say. And it was a book written by a man named Viktor Frankl. He was an Austrian
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist, and
Yep.
in the book is Man's Search for Meaning. You either have pain for no reason, which is meaningless suffering, or you learn from it and you do something. So it's about finding meaning in your suffering, which it's basically the overarching theme of the Bible. And so this man wrote this book while he was, I believe it was Auschwitz and Dachau that he was in. He watched his family get exterminated. He wrote this book on scraps of paper that he secreted in within his body cavities to save them. And when he got out, he published this book. And so my life has been an absolute, for lack of a better word, shite show my entire life. There's nothing about my life that's been normal. I should be dead 1,000 times. I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. I'm a dope fiend. I had a prison number before I had a high school diploma. I used to do every single thing that was predicted when you destroy a child and you take the father out of their life except for die. For some reason, I didn't. Then I got a PhD. Then I became the state's expert. Then I developed stuff that all over the United States, they say, this man knows his stuff. And then they decided to do this to my family. I was built for this. I've been trained up my entire life living pain, suffering, and horrible things from what happens when you destroy a family. But that God didn't allow me to die. He designed me for this thing. And this is what I'm doing. This is my meaning in suffering. I used to not know my entire life why God would give me what he gave me in my head, and I could see the things that other people don't see, and why I would be screaming from the rafters, if you don't do something, this will happen, and no one ever listened. But now I understand, because what I see clearly is because of what I've suffered. And so I walk with the minions every day. I ask them to come into my life so that I can take them to battle and to war, because as long as I do what God put in front of me, it doesn't matter how irrational or how bizarre or anything else that goes on. If I do what my Lord has put in front of me, I will win every single day until the day he chooses I don't. And that is simply all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything radical. I'm doing what they used to do. I'm doing what David did. I'm doing what Samuel did. I'm doing what God told us to do. And people think I'm insane. But here's the thing. I was irrelevant 4 weeks ago, And if and if we took a vote today, there's a good chance I would be chair and certainly vice chair. The worm has turned. Our party has gotten on fire for God.
Yeah.
The sitting chair has tanked himself. People have stood up. It's amazing. It's like someone came out and said all this stuff, and then everybody got the balls to get out of their chairs, and now it is just an avalanche of people telling the truth. And so our sitting chair cannot be elected. The guy they called a radical, and my government's trying to put me in jail. We'll talk about that if you want.
Wow.
um, who is actually in, oh yeah, I have a cash bond on me from 2023 when my government threw me in jail, and the attorney general of the state of Texas filed into the case and let the judge know, you do not have jurisdiction, you will not be defended by the state if you do not remove this warrant. Well, because the way judges are, they didn't remove the warrant. I was arrested on my way to pick up a speaker to talk about judicial corruption at a massive event with about 500 attendees. That speaker who I was going to pick up had to get the bail money together to get me out. His name was Supreme Court Justice John Devine, the only Supreme Court justice we elected on that court, and the only one that voted to keep James Younger in this state and have his penis attached to his body instead of sent to California where he's being chemically castrated. I
Mm.
put myself in the middle of every single situation, relationship, every possible nuanced thing that has ever happened in this state in the past 4 years having to do with the judiciary just for this moment. So I can stand on stage, talk about my Lord, and slay demons and raise some demon slayers to run with me through this party, because our party is corrupted as crap in the state. Amen.
Yes, no doubt. Wow, that's amazing. Your background, I love that because we're trying to save people from having to go through that, having our countries or cities and so forth destroyed
Hmm.
by these corrupt people that have somehow gotten power. I don't know how they got the power because what I
Oh, it
want
was easy.
for our country is like they seem to worm their way in. It's crazy, and now I'm trying to fight to get rid of these crazy people that have wormed their way in, and I'm glad to see gentlemen like
So,
yourself.
do you
Uh,
remember? Do you remember Paul Harvey? The rest of the story.
oh God, yeah, yeah.
All right. Go find the one where he talks about the 13 colonies and attorneys. They were not allowed to live in the original 13 colonies because of what they had done. They were worse than lepers. They would be tarred and feathered and run out of town if someone found out you were an attorney, but somehow they got back in. That's the thing. And our attorneys, our judicial branch was supposed to be the weakest branch to decide arguments between the two powerful branches, but they literally rewrote the laws. Their rules, their policies and procedures, which will never trump the Constitution. They just follow those blindly because they're the ones who enforce them. Self-governance. It's never worked out in any industry yet. Our most powerful politicians have self-governance.
Yeah.
But the thing that we cracked here in Texas, the thing that really became interesting is when Trump got prosecuted by a Georgia DA, pointing out that none at all have criminal immunity. And in Texas, we have two Supreme Courts. There's only two states in the nation, I believe, with two separate criminal and civil Supreme Courts. Every other state, it's going to be the same group of people, but we got lucky. And in two sessions ago, we ripped the criminal Supreme Court out of Governor Abbott's hands. And so we started ripping his appointees off. And so now, after this election, we're going to have 6 of 9 conservatives. Well, guess what? A violation of your oath of office that becomes a felony, we're not treating as a civil matter where they're still owned and operated by the governor, and every civil penalty is met with immunity. We've learned to go over to the criminal side and become our own DAs, because there is nothing that says I cannot approach a grand jury or anything else. And so that's what we're doing in our state. We're going to take back the citizens' right to prosecute local officials. And once we do it this session, again, I told you the two people I just had meetings with. They're both running for attorney general in a primary runoff right now. So this is going to happen. And when it does, it will be codified. And then our citizens will have direct recourse, direct remedy when their corrupt DAs and sheriffs refuse to honor their oaths. It is going to be the biggest chain effect of prosecutions and political slaughter in the history of this nation. I take no credit for it. I'm just the tip of the spear because I have nothing to lose, and I was built for this. I fear no man. I don't fear prison because I've been there. I don't fear what you can do to me because I've done worse to myself. And I dare you to come into my face, because I will talk God to you and I will destroy you if you take me on in that manner. and I'm built for this. This is what I'm going to do. And I want to rest, but we're almost done. And that's all that we're doing with this race for state chair of the Republican Party, is to bring God back into the party, save the state of Texas. And by 2045, the entire nation is conservative. If we lose this state by 2045, the entire nation is blue.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding. So Trump just backed your attorney general, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that a good thing, or what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
In fact,
The swamp is the swamp is the swamp, brother. Okay, so let me start off. And I tell people what a vile piece of garbage I am, right? Because if I don't, people will idolize me, right? He's got a PhD. He's brilliant. That I'm a great orator. Watch me on a stage. I will turn a room of 5,000 within moments, because that's my gift. But you need to understand that I am garbage without my Lord. I use my instruments for evil without God in my life. And so, as wonderful as I can be helping people, I can be just as vile and disgusting. And I say that because Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, it does not matter who you are. You will not find a single politician who is close to what you think they should be, because the only man that was crucified and hung up, So I don't judge them on what their personal life is unless they're running on their personal life, right? If you tell me that you're a family man, if you got 3 wives and you're over there worshiping Allah, yeah, I'm gonna have a problem. Well, if you're worshiping Allah straight up, I'm gonna tell you right now, I have a problem with that, because I believe if you worship any religion that contradicts what our damn Constitution is based upon, you shouldn't be allowed to hold office, period. You want to keep a non-violent felon DWI off the damn ballot, but you'll let a Muslim terrorist on the ballot. I have issues with that. And so this stuff about Ken Paxton, these are personal issues. You don't like that he cheated on his wife. I don't like that his wife announced it at the perfect time to kill his federal funding in order to sabotage his campaign. Why didn't she do it 6 months before, 6 months later? So if we really want to go down those rabbit holes, but as far as Ken Paxton and Cornyn go, Cornyn was booed off stage at the 2022 convention, right? And his popularity has not gone up. Ken Paxton is popular, and he has shown he will do some things. And I will say it out loud right now, because I'm going to put it in my release letter on Friday. I have met with both the candidates running for his to be his replacement, and I've asked both of them to initiate prosecutions into sitting judges, district attorneys, and sheriffs in very specific counties where I have the receipts and I've delivered them. And I'm going to ask Ken Paxton to do the same. I'm also going to ask John Cornyn in my announcement what he thinks about it. But I'm also going to ask John Cornyn why, after whatever 30 years, he's never addressed the funding, the federal funding mechanism that creates the fatherless epidemic in my state and every other state in the nation. And I'm going to lay the blame at the child abuse that our courts commit at Cornyn's feet, because he's actively funded it for generations. So I'm going to make everybody answer a bunch of really hard questions on paper out loud, because I believe when you put it on the table, it loses its power. And when you put sunlight on things, I may get shot for what I'm doing. There's sitting candidates and sitting judges who've told me that I need to wear a vest at convention.
Wow.
Oh no, my government, if we're on my phone, it's tracked. I promise you, it is transcribed and is being delivered to someone. I'm being criminally investigated for election fraud because I ran 2 justices against 2 sitting Supreme Court justices currently. I went and collected the signature across 4 or 5 different judicial regions to get them on the Republican primary ballot. Because our civil court, as I mentioned earlier, sent a young boy named James Younger to California to be castrated in a family court case. And so I went to replace those judges, just like I helped replace the judges on the other court that we ripped back. So when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. My yes is yes, and no. This is my campaign. The destruction I've wreaked on these piece of garbage people that we have, this is my campaign. I'm teaching people to bring these charges and how to affect their removal from office. And so I ran 2 candidates, one against the Supreme Court Justice, Jimmy Blacklock, who signed the opinion to castrate this boy. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because the legal opinion doesn't say that. They just sent him where they knew it was going to happen. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So when the lawyers won't argue with me because they use a lot of fancy words, but I have a PhD. and then I make them look like fools. So they'll never get on stage and justify why. But the beautiful thing is at convention, Abbott's basically paying for it. Jimmy Blacklock is his boy, so he'll most likely be sitting 15 feet below me off to the side at the bottom of the stage when I get to tell people why to vote for me. And I point at him and say, because when we have Republicans who send children to be castrated, we don't have Republicans anywhere.
No.
And so that is why I'm running. But I ran a candidate against Chief Justice Blacklock and Justice Busby, both of whom I know, right? Both of whom I've attended events for. And in fact, I threw events for some of them and testified on their bills last session. Right? In the middle of everything. Those candidates were kept off the ballot without any Secretary of State or anything by Abraham George, our sitting state chair, as a favor to the incumbents. And they played some legal tricks to run out the time so that the judge didn't say the candidates were wrong for suing. They said, we don't have time to fix it. And he did this across the state with rhino incumbents all over the place. Hell, there's a guy in SD1 that blew his brains out after it was over, or killed himself after, because everybody got assurances that you're good to go. And then when the timetable ran out and it was too late to reprint ballots and everybody filed their lawsuits, all the courts went, what can we do? We can't stop an election, even if you're right. And so the cases get thrown out because that's how the courts work. And the Republican Party, Abraham George goes, see, the judge was on my side. No, he wasn't. The judge said there was no time for justice. And so our party just kept off two very conservative candidates to replace two justices that sent a boy to be castrated, which violates our principles, our preamble, our core values, and the word of God. And so that was when I decided I will run. So I'm the guy in the picture that's always up in the corner, and they always circle him and say, who is that? He doesn't work with anybody, but he's always there. Why is he at so-and-so's bar mitzvah? And then he's at Justice's so-and-so's grandson. Like, no, I'm that dude. I've helped these people adopt children, get CPS out of their lives, all of these things, because my jam is I'm the foremost expert in the state of Texas in the parent-child relationship. I have trained judges and DAs, everybody for decades.
Wow.
And so when I meet someone, if I can show you how to improve your child's life with a few little tips, I'll do it. I do it in restaurants. I do it in the mud, because that's why God put it in my head. He didn't put it in my head for me to charge you anything. If I can fix your problem in 5 minutes and it changes your life and I don't, I have to answer to God. I just happen to do this with a lot of people who turned out to run convention of states, Texas, sit on the Supreme Court, sitting senators, every conservative group in this state of any size. Their leaders think I'm their grandson, or they want to marry me to their daughters. I mean, that's the relationship I have with my political friends. And I've never asked them for anything, and I've done favors for everyone at every level in all three branches. And so my government on one side wants me dead and in prison, and that's not a joke. And on the other side, they want to see me do it because they want to disembowel their corrupt cohort. So I'm in the tipping point. And then convention is the announcement of everything we're doing, because if the senators who I already have promises from announce this week the call for Ken Paxton to come into those counties, and I get both Mays and Chip, because they better say yes. I'm just telling you, if they don't, I don't care. I may love you and be I argued with a friend of mine last night who wanted to bastardize the Bible and try to justify premarital sex because the world's warped and marriage isn't fair. And he's a very good friend of mine. We probably won't talk again for a week or two because you don't do that, and I don't care who you are. We will get over it and he'll come back and we'll get to discuss it, but I'll never allow you to bastardize it. I'm not perfect, and I expect you to call me out, and I hold myself to a standard, but I say everything out loud so you know the crazy crap in my head. And so if I'm going to hold myself there, my government better be fearful, and I think they should suffer treble damages. You violate your oath, you put a man in prison for 5 years for something you know he didn't do, you get 15 and he gets everything you own. We do that for 2 years. Guess what happens? Retirements across the board. We save tons of money on retirements. Wow, our CPS and DFPS, everybody quits overnight. We don't have to burn them down. They will leave when you expose them. And
Yes.
that's all I'm doing. I want them to shoot me. I'm not kidding. I've been telling people for years, my goal is to have them put me in prison or shoot me. But I won't go to prison, so you will have to shoot me. And I'm not going to do cop by suicide, but I promise you I can make them mad enough to try to kill me, because again, I'm not fighting with this senator or this person. I'm fighting with the one who's running them, the one who sits next to them in the meeting, the one that when I say the word of God on stage, I watch their face recoil and I watch them get mad. That's the one I'm speaking to because they're real. They're there and people think it's crazy, but the Bible says that is my enemy. It tells me who I am fighting. And if you don't pull the scale from your eyes, we're worshiping these people. We're putting them courts. They're running our churches. They're raping our children in our churches, and no one is putting their heads on pikes. They're talking about civil lawsuits. When I was a kid in the 70s, I wasn't raised in God. I was raised by a borderline alcoholic. But when I was a kid, if you'd have talked about doing what they did to James Younger, the liberal left would have killed you with their hands in the street, and no one would. Like the guy, remember the guy that capped the kid that in the airport that raped his son? Waited for him in the New Orleans or Houston area. Oh no, and that's not wrong. The Bible does not. This is not a call to action. The Bible does not say do not kill. It says do not murder. Murder is of an innocent. God sent his people to commit freaking genocide. So when we warp and pervert and feminize God, because that's what it is the feminization of God, we don't hold ourselves accountable. And the moment the man is not held accountable to lead his family, we have what we did. All God had to do was take out the man in the 70s with no fault divorce and watch the entire thing fall apart, because God does not come from the church, the pastor, or anyone else. In fact, that's probably the worst place in the world to get it. It comes from inside the home, from the man. When a man leads his family into a church, 93% of the time, the entire family finds Christ, and that's the church's research. When a woman does it, i.e. a single mother, it is 17% of the time. That system will self-destruct within 3 generations. Here we are. We have blue-haired kids. We're cutting their penises off. And the conservative, God-fearing Republicans are debating it. We were never sent to parley with our enemy. They are not going to war. So I'm going to war with my own until they go to war with me. I'm not here to clear out the Democrat Party. I'm here to prune the vine in the Republican Party to such an extent that it will never allow itself to grow those vines for a very long time.
Yeah.
Sorry, my soapbox.
No, that's fantastic. Wow, it's amazing. So in the primary in Texas, we saw some really good people that were up for governor, like Dr. Pete Chambers, former Texas, or he's obviously Texas, but
I probably attended about 30 of his events.
Wow.
So I've been campaigning.
Elected, if he got elected, the first thing he would do was throw Abbott in prison. So and then we see that there's some very suspicious activity that happened in that primary as far as voting. So do you think there's a chance that good people are going to rise to the top there in Texas? I can't believe, I remember when I grew up, they were like, you don't mess with Texas. And
that's
there was one comic that was, everybody laughed at him. He says, Judge, he's like, why'd you kill him? He said, Judge, you need to kill him. And it's like, okay. It's like, everybody loved Texas, but what happened to Texas? Wow.
We got slow rolled. So again, back to that book, Viktor Frankl. And also, and there's other great books like Elie Wiesel, he was a Holocaust survivor. When they talk about the stories in depth on how it was able to happen, right? They go through it. So it's not, hey, everybody get on the train, we're going to kill you. It's, hey, you don't get to vote in local elections. And right, it's not a big enough issue for the rest of the society to say, whoa. Yeah, I don't like the Jews. And so, well, now you don't get to be open on Saturdays and Sundays. And now you don't get to have government. And so I take you miles by inches. It's the frog in the boiling water. Yep. And if you've ever done any of the training of our friends in little camps around the place, you know how to influence the locals so they don't see the change of buildup. They don't notice, you slowly get people. You normalize it, whether it's pain, whether you're promoting transgenderism, whether you're telling people to not exercise and eat a pill that is toxic and will change your brain forever. You normalize the abnormal. And you slow walk them. And our government has done. It's literally the Communist Manifesto, basically. The first thing that they did In the 70s, when Roe v. Wade, you can now murder a baby. How the hell? They spent years normalizing that. So when I was a kid, they'd have that dumb commercial, the woman singing, I come home, I bring home the bacon fried up in a pan because I'm a woman. And right, and it was, I don't need a man. But it wasn't, remember, it wasn't divorce's ass yet. It was, I don't need one. I don't, and right. And they build that up. And now all women need a career. Well, how can you do that and still take care of a kid? And that's when they were able to roll out no fault divorce to overwhelming success because, well, who doesn't want to protect abused women and children, right? What kind of scumbag would not want to do that? Unless you know the science. The science shows that in one way, unidirectional abuse, again, I'm a scientist, unidirectional abuse, when there's only one partner who's violent, 70+% of the time, it's the woman. When there is bidirectional abuse, 60-40 on who starts it, it is almost always the woman. The person who is more likely to harm, abuse, and kill their child by far is the woman, but the man is more likely to kill the child when they abuse because of the physical strength. So you give me those stats as a demon, and I create a picture that looks like men killed children. And in reality, I've handed children over to the more unstable sex because that's biblical. Argue with God, don't argue with me. And I can show the research that actually shows the neural differences. And it is, we are different. So I hand the child to the more unstable one that who's not built to lead a household. And we have decades of fatherlessness data. Do you know why there's no motherless stats? Because a child raised by a biological father, single father, is almost indistinguishable as a group from children raised in two-parent households. So if I'm the enemy, how do I destroy the family and remove God from everything in society? I remove the father from the home and I go take a smoke break. I don't even have to do anything because the system that God designed, I just stuck a pin in it and took out the most important part and it will fail. And that's what we're seeing everywhere. And so we have legislators. I'm first generation. This is what happened to me. And I should be dead because of it, but for some reason I didn't die. And that's why my demons think I'm a demon. But the children today, if I'm the first generation, they're high in politics, they're high in every kind of office, and they normalized it. Look how successful I am. When you hear a politician brag about his brave single mother, you know he has no idea what it is to be a man, because a woman cannot teach a boy what it is to be a man. They do not have the skill set. I can't go out and teach someone what it is to be a SEAL because I have never done it. Because if we could do it on a video or online, imagine the money we could save in the bullets. We could just have everybody play COD and they'd be perfect. Actually, some of those dudes probably would be good. But we know that training doesn't work. But we've taken the trainer out of the family. You took the quartermaster out. You took the trainer for every battle. Then you took the warrior out. You left the logistics.
Yeah.
And the logistics is passive income for the state. A single mother generates so much money for a state and federal funding, it's unbelievable. But a single father generates none because there's no Violence Against Women Act. There's no women and infant children money. You see, every program that was created only rewards the state if they choose to give it to the more unstable parent. And women are going to get pissed, but I'm not talking about all women. I know some very godly, amazing women because they know how to submit, they know how to support, and they know that their warrior cannot go to war if he's not fed and he can't come and rest. But we don't have women like that anymore. They have women that when you come home, you're going to war with her because she learned it from her single mother because her mother didn't learn to submit. And that's it. We mimic what we see, and we are in the decline of Rome. Every great civilization has gone through this exact effing arc that we're going through. And once the family's gone, it accelerates the perversion, the child rape, all the stuff that we see in all the third world countries will be happening here. And we'll be saying legislatively it's okay. And if people do not rise up, it will go. What did they start this country on? They threw boxes of tea and water and started a war because they weren't being represented. What do you think our forefathers would have done to the scum in office right now had they said, we're going to castrate your children starting tomorrow? You think they would have just thrown that tea in the harbor? I think they would have done something completely different. Yet here we are debating on whether or not we're going to allow it to happen. That's my issue.
Wow. I was pretty amazed. I worked here in Lake Tahoe at a couple of casinos as security manager. During the night shift, where there was usually a lot of craziness that would happen, we'd get called to rooms. And, I grew up, women are on a pedestal, they never do anything wrong. Most of the violence that was happening, domestic violence, was by women to men. So I understand what you're saying. And I have a buddy when I was in the SEAL teams. His wife was abusive, did drugs and so forth. They had 5 kids together, so she left, and California made him pay her, spousal support payments while he's raising the 5 children. They're crazy systems out there.
Well, currently, so because I was a rock star in my area way before I got into politics. Like, I was the dude. That was it. But I didn't care because I wanted everyone to have what was inside my head. So I actually have a processing disorder. I have brain damage, and that would be a whole nother show to talk about it. But if you've ever read Carl Gustav Jung about self-actualization, well, in there he talks about what are called sensitive personalities, people that hyper sense everything, including emotion, facial tics, everything, even the temperature of your body. I mean, they can literally feel things that most of us tune out because it would overload our brain. I'm that person. I can read everyone in the room, their emotions. I can tell you if they've been molested, slept with someone it is freaky, and I've been able to do it my own life. But for some reason, it's been on fire for about 3 years. It's been insane. Like I am the tip of this spear, but everyone that comes in behind me fits perfectly, right? I can't do a lot of things. I can't carry legislation because they won't be seen in pictures with me, but they'll bail me out of jail. So I have very strange relationships with my friends because endorsing me would be political suicide and stuff like that. But we have created this thing here in the state that if the Christian stands up and opens their mouth, we are going to take this state back unbelievably. But if we continue to sit back, the 90% of people taking any kind of psychiatric med outside of a chemical imbalance, like a real one or a biological insult, getting up early, exercising, and going to bed by 9:30 and doing that every day, oh my God, it'll change your life. And the doctors are put in jail for telling people that now because it is not, quote, scientifically proven, because it's never been through a clinical trial, because it isn't made by man, so it can't go through a clinical trial. So by default, it can never be scientifically proven. And if you graduate from wherever and you talk about that, you can lose your license for it. Our entire world has been engineered to make us slaves. And we don't have any men because men aren't being trained by men, right? You had to go places to train those people to defend themselves before you left. We
Yeah,
rely.
we had a lot of abused young men that came through Buds, and we were their father figures. So it's kind of cool.
And you can spot them like that, and you knew him within seconds. And you knew exactly what he would do to make you proud, and you knew how he would feel if you frowned at him, and you knew if you did it too much, you would crush his skull and he'd ring that bell and be gone. So you had to walk a very fine line because you knew if you could bring him up right, he would be a warrior. But if you broke him, you would broke him right. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And you knew all that immediately because that's what you spot and that's what I spot in the rooms of politicians. The moment I meet one, I know if they're weak, they're a man, if they're a demon or not. I know everything about them. I know whether they cheat on their wife. So I am you in politics. That's why I'm not in prison or jail. I still have a cash bond on me from when I got arrested in 2023, and they kicked me out of jail basically because I was about to file 2 federal lawsuits when they found out who I was. So I will be removing Sheriff Skinner of Collin County. He's a Republican. I saw his punk ass last night at 2 events I went to see Mays Middleton with, but I didn't know Sheriff Skinner only went to one where all the politicians were required to come or they'd get yelled at. He failed to go to the second one where Mays is at. So Mays, I don't think Sheriff Skinner actually supports you, or he would have followed you to the other event a few minutes away. I'm just saying it. I will say things out loud about people. I'm going to destroy them because there's nothing they can do to me. Because if they do, I know how to write a writ of habeas corpus and a writ of mandamus, and I'll be out in a few moments, and that's it. I am daring them to shoot me.
Yeah.
Because you can't lock me up. I want them to come at me in a way that everyone will say, I see them too. I now see what you see. I see the guy. I see the kid that needs to be fixed. I see the one we can train up, because right now everyone's expecting their government to do it. And I want you to know your government is your biggest effing enemy that you will ever have.
God, you know, of all people, I mean, you've gone against the abuses in family courts and Department of Family and Protective Services. We've all heard those stories, but you have been in the trenches and saving people. God, that must be incredible. So Thomas Massey got defeated by SEAL. So that Navy SEAL was a guy that I worked with, and I was a SEAL Team 6, did combat action with him. He was my last SEAL team that I was at. He was my commander. Incredibly great guy, farmer, big strapping boy, very quiet, but very focused. Won like I think 5, medal. What were they? Bronze stars. That's like the next. You got Silver Star and then Medal of Honor. So he's a total stud, but silent warrior. And of God. So he's always talking about God and everything. So now we have him in a position, or we will hopefully have in a position of good frequency where he can make good things happen. We want to see more of that. I think that's happening. I think the GOP is starting to shift, but it takes guys like yourself to really. And ladies, we're trying to get you involved too. So you got to get out there and get involved here. It's we the people that makes this happen.
I believe that we are in a time where God is giving us potentially the final chance. Here you go. Here's the tools you need. Get up and use them.
Yes.
And if we end up losing this state, we will lose this nation, and we will be Great Britain, and we will be castrating kids on the corners for $20. Well, that's where we will go. And God will look at them just as he looked at the Jews, and he said, I fed you every day and you bitched. I destroyed your enemies and you bitched. That is what is going to happen to us. It is biblical. It is scientific. It is everything else. Mm-hmm. But I would like to, and this is off topic. So I have a friend who's very upset about the race you just talked about, because she had some issues that Massey was helping with, and very staunch on him, but constitutional issues that he took some very good stances on. So I want to thank you for mentioning that, and maybe even give him a little more of a plug to my friend named Rachel, who I'm sure is going to watch this and yelled at me last night when I said breathe. She didn't want to breathe. So if you could give him a little, because she's part of my support group and I need logistics, not bitching. So if you could just a quick one about how, if this man believes in the Constitution, is willing to go to war with people like we have in here in Texas, Brandon Gill. Have you interviewed Brandon Gill?
No.
Oh my gosh. Go Brandon Gill. Take your man, take Brandon Gill, introduce them to each other and watch what happens. That's yes. Oh no. So if your man is like that, and if he did his job, he should be like that. And all he needs is education if he misunderstands something, because that's y'all's ability is to pivot when you're given proper data. And so, oh no, Rachel, did you hear that? So please, Rachel, breathe.
Yes. Well, I think, Thomas Massey and a lot of these influencers that are out there, they pitch a good story, while on the backside, they're sabotaging us. And I think Massey was one.
Oh my goodness. We have a massive issue here in Texas, and I'm not going to name names, but everybody will. So whenever I speak, I'll say odd things sometimes, like we're little twists of words, or there'll be an extra word or an extra meaning in there, but I do it on purpose because I have 2 or 3 audiences so right now I'm speaking directly to you, and then I'm speaking to my crowd of mostly far right and middle right that are going to watch this. So I have to, carry my message in a certain way, but there's other things where I'm speaking straight to a group of about 5 people, because I know they will watch this too. And so I'll drop Easter eggs that, it's like playing a video game for them. They find little things and they go, oh my God, how should he know? He shouldn't know that. How did he find that out? Because I have people in all their camps. I've got my minions too, except they're all going to heaven. Well, most of them. They're not all Christians. I will flat out say that, but unfortunately I can't find that many Christians currently. But we had this massive push, this conservative wave that came through Texas, and we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we swept like, what was it, 17 out of 8? I mean, it was a lot of house. I mean, it was a wave, except for the fact that you had those people, you had the watchers on the walls that nobody was listening to, right? That you had the people screaming, no, check their voting record.
Uh,
No, look at who they are in business. But it was something's better than nothing. Well, we got a whole bunch of well, we found out recently that almost all of it was something is better than nothing. There have been so many, because if you can see the landscape, it's so obvious. And again, I recognize patterns. I don't need to know anything specific. If you ever gave me a battle plan and I knew the information, I could tell you exactly what to do, how they would react, where they would go, why they would do it, because that's what I do. So I see this as plain as day. And that's what I do is I connect the dots, because most people don't. They see 2 or 3 steps, or they have it's in, and because I have brain damage, this isn't a gift, because everything I see I can't fix. So last night I was with some friends and we went from Red River County to Smith County to Collin County back to Smith County. So it was like a 14-hour day from the time but I see lots of people. And I do the same thing with children that I do with adults. I can tell you immediately whether a child is abused or not, no matter whether they're smiling, laughing, playing, or even looking at me and talking, because of their body mannerisms, the lack of fluidity. They don't have they're a little jerkier. Children that walk on their toes have sensory issues, and people think it's cute. It's not cute. It means their brain is under stress and they're not processing. So this is what I do all the time. And every child I see that I know is abused, I can't do anything about, because I can't go yank that person over. And I saw a child yesterday that I was absolutely sure that the person leading that child around sexually abuses that child.
oh,
But you can't take my word for it, can you?
no.
I can't just come up and say it, can I? And I know that that child's going to go get raped.
God.
So my ability to see things is amazing when I can use it. And that's why I have to use it all the time, because if I don't, I stop and I see the other things that I can't do something about, and I have to walk away. So I don't do this for money. I haven't worked since 2021. I typically have less than $100 in my bank account. When I need 4 new tires on a car and I have no idea how it's going to happen, someone gives me 4 new tires. The last time I went to convention, the man I went with, Rustin, who's on the board of Texans for Judicial Accountability, who passed that proposition, we're killing it in this state. We showed up with no money because he's been in family court for 21 years. His child is now 21 and lives with him. And the mother just sued him again for like $80,000 in attorney's fees, and it's going to go to court, and he will be he also pro se has written his own filing to the U.S. Supreme Court to try to get the void orders that have already been ruled void thrown out. But if they get thrown out, he has to get repaid. So, oh no. So everyone around me is in this stuff. We don't do it because we're lobbyists. No one pays me. No one paid me at all to go get those signatures for those judges. I did it because I hate evil. No one paid me to do anything ever that I've done to my enemies. I do it because I hate evil and I'm good. I grew up in crack houses. I've been to prison. Every prison I was ever in, they thought I ran not just the Brotherhood. They thought I ran the homeboys. They thought I ran the Mexicans, everyone, because I have a way of making your leaders value me, because I can do things they can't. And now they respect me. And in a way, I do run them. I was singled out as the gang leader every prison unit I was on, and the only tattoo I have is Tweety Bird about that big on my calf, and a sailor hat, because I was in the Navy smoking a joint, because I was a drunk when I was in the Navy. When I went in Chicago and I went down to division, and I'm like, I want this face ripping itself with the eyeball, that one where it's coming out of the flesh. He's like, I don't work on drunk sailors because it makes my ink run. And I came back the next day to get the Tweety Bird, and he said, and because y'all are stupid and come back and ask me to take it off. What do you want? And I said, a Tweety Bird. He said, that's what I thought. Sit down and shut up. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
But I dress like this because I am a redneck. And I want you to absolutely know, when I sit in a room with Supreme Court justices and senators who everybody else would love to lick their boots, they tremble with fear because I see who's running them. They know I see them. Going back to Carl Jung, I'll send you the video. It'll blow your mind. But because I can read that, I can reflect to you what I want you to see. Whether I want you to feel good about yourself, and I want you to have massive confidence because you did such a good job, and I did every single thing, but I'm going to give you credit right now. That's all I have to do. Do you feel that thing I can do? Or I can reflect to you what you really are. and I can look at you and I can talk to you in a very controlled manner and I can say horrible, horrible things to you. But if I never raise my voice, I can reach a side inside your subconscious that you don't know why he's talking so calm. And I know he wants to harm me. He wants to harm me, but he's never threatened me. And I can make you fear me in a way that is ungodly. And every time I'm in that room, all I have to do is look at you and wink. And it's just like I had raped you for years. That's what God gave me. And I relish it because I'm a sick person and didn't find God until I was 37. And I use this in the way I used to use it to abuse people, to get drugs, to con you, because that's what politics is. I was designed for this thing. And because I have nothing, I live in an empty house. Everything that I own can be put into an SUV and moved within an hour because I've had to do that 4 times. I have hearings every couple of months to put me in prison for what I do. But for some reason, not a single one of those has happened in the last 2 years. They just can't seem to get me in court. So the only way they can stop me is to kill me. Because if they set a court hearing or do anything else during the convention, it'll be so obvious it'll be political suicide. But if some nut job finds me behind the dumpster in Houston where I parked, where I'm about to walk across the street and shoots me in the head, that would be the way to get rid of me. That would be the only way that they can possibly get out of it. Because if I hit the stage, everyone knows what I'm going to say, and I already know everyone. They all understand the part to play, because if they don't, their political careers will be destroyed. That's what these meetings I've been having about, is telling them the landscape that I've set, the traps I'm going to pop, and your friends that you're going to have to sacrifice, or you will be eaten alive by those that believe in God, whether or not you're their boy or not. Because that big, massive conservative push we had last time, 2/3 of them have sold out and made deals before last primary. They could have secured the overthrow of multiple rhinos, and one for certain, had they done some simple things that they'd agreed to. See, I got friends everywhere. They'd agreed to do some very simple things, and it would have been one of the biggest rhinos in the state would have been overthrown. But they all pulled back at the last second, like something had happened. Well, now they've all been rewarded. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
We didn't have a conservative wave. We had the same thing that we always have: ride the conservative coats, get there, make your business deal, and then slowly, right? I didn't get on the train to go to the gas chamber. I'm just not letting you vote today, right? Slowly, I step away. I'm not doing it because this is best for you. Slowly, and then once I'm entrenched and I'm secure enough with the other people, kiss my ass. I don't need the grassroots. That's what just happened to us. And you can look, oh, but they voted great. Yes, they did. They did. But it was after the vote where their behavior changed. Their last vote is what's going to get them to okie doke you this next time. I mean, hell, there's so much stuff. I should write a book, hell. But yeah, our state is a money laundering operation.
That we have, Texans, and they're saying, tell Dr. McKenzie that the Texans here say a Texas-sized thank you. So, we do have people that are involved. And, I think on the Republican side, you're basically cleaning the Republican House, because the Democrat side is just completely shit. And,
clean your own side of the street before you worry about mine.
There you go. So the Democrats are the ones, trying to kill Trump every other week.
Well,
lies quite a bit.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah. Well, I mean, so the Democrats. So that's the thing. That's why the Democrat wants me to grow some breasts and get some hormones, right? And they want me to mutilate my child and kill my baby. You know it. They're open. They don't hide it. They buy billboards, right? So that's the enemy for the idiots, right? I mean, it's the obvious. That's also the low-hanging fruit. I can attack you all day. But so in my state, the Republicans have run this thing for 30 years, all 3 houses or all 3 branches, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are responsible. We fund it. We set up the statutes, unless the Democrats are the most wily, amazing, politically savvy people in the world, because they have no effing control. They didn't control the courts. They didn't control the right? Our party's been lying to us, or they are the weakest, most complicit men and women that there are. Well, it's a combination of both, because there's a handful of people that run our house. They also run a bank. Hey, have you ever Googled Third Coast Bank? Boy, that's going to make me popular. So there's a really small bank here in Texas that does an amazing amount of loans and stuff within House members, I believe. I see, I'm not a political person, so forgive me if I get this wrong, but it's run by a very small group of people. And when you get invited to open an account, you get a massive loan at an incredibly low interest rate that they immediately invest all into the exact same real estate. So I'm not, it goes into the exact same portfolio that apparently gives returns that would make Nancy Pelosi look like a moron. But because you can't track it and it's not required to be tracked under our current financial stuff because it's independent income and loans and blah, 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 it is the biggest. Well, I'm not saying, but it would be a perfect vehicle to wash a whole lot of cash. And I'm talking about a bunch of cash. And these happen to be the board members are like, I don't know, our Speaker of the House and some other people who get to make deals and dictate who's on committees. If you're on committee, it dictates whether or not your bill will pass. And so there's this big circle of life that we have here in Texas. They've normalized, just like mutilating our children, just like no fault divorce, just like murdering our children, because you can make money on it. You can make money on anything. There is no money in the solution. If I fix your problem, those nonprofits are gone. There's not a single nonprofit in the state of Texas that does anything with women and children of any size that I have not personally trained ever, right? And I can show you how all of them sabotage all legislation that would fix the problem because they require the problem to grow their industry. While they pray and while they put their hands on your kids and they say, oh, Jesus, there's a special place in hell for those people. I want everybody to hear this. If I ever misuse the word of God, God will make sure that I understand what I did when I see him. And when you do to promote your political ideology, whether you are left or right, if you bastardize the word of God because you think it will give you an edge, you will pay a price that will be unbelievable and you will not experience on the face of this earth. So I'd appreciate it, especially people on my side who want to twist it to get that edge. I will call you out too. Do not do that because you don't have to. Trust that it will happen. Sorry, I had a little incident a few days ago with some friends of mine and they thought I was extremely angry. And I said, no, I'm warning you. If I don't warn you, I don't love you. But that's a whole different issue.
Very good. So I spent most of my 35 years, 24 years in the SEAL teams and 11 years in the CIA. Most of that was in the Middle East. So I can say definitively that the Muslims do not integrate with Christians, right? Yet in Texas, that is
they're commanded to kill us. So like we are commanded to war. God did not say put on the bathrobe and prayer mat. He said put on the armor, sell your cloak, buy a sword, go to harm to people. Right, and that's what he said. Theirs did too, except for he's fake and they made it up. They follow him, but the real God, we're like, we'll let God do it. No, that's not how it works. If I'm hungry and there's a hot dog in the fridge, God's not going to go microwave it. And that's the thing. The same fate. So you know how they've been butchering these children all over the UK, and then the cops won't even go in, and they're sitting there with their little machete and like putting it on the ground, that doing that little figure eight they do and laughing. Look at their face. Zoom in on it. Look at the maniacal laugh. They aren't laughing at the people. That demon. Watch their face, and I don't care how crazy it sounds. You will see it. Then go look at any politician, I don't care, on either side. And when they talk about scripture, watch their face. If you see that same look, you will know something very interesting.
Very good.
Like Tallarico, who's running against, Paxton and Cornyn. When he talks about scripture, he bastardizes it, and he is so slick and smooth. He is good. He's an immaculate orator. He is great at delivering his message. He's great at delivering his message to his people who are devoted, and he's great at delivering the message to those who don't know, because he is pulling those people all day long by bastardizing. But watch his face, and you will see him smile and wink, and he's like saying, "I'm doing this right in front of your face," and and you'll never unsee it again whenever you watch him speak, and you'll see him every time, and it's very deliberate, and he has a pattern. But we're surrounded by that. Oh. I mean, hell, we've got so many Joel Osteen preachers, and I'm sorry if you like Joel Osteen and prosperity preaching, knock it out, but you're probably going to hell. Because if you do not leave church and feel like you need to go get on if you don't leave church and feel like you need to apologize to your family, you didn't hear the sermon you needed to hear. If you left there feeling pumped up and everything's great, no, that's you, honey. That's you just liking the music. And if you think that God told you something, at least in my case, so I'm not blessed with stewardship, not in the way like money. If I'm given money, I get soft. I worry about being comfortable. But when God tells me to do something, it is my response is always no. And it's not like, oh no, I don't want to do that. No, it's no, because that is going to hurt me beyond belief. And I don't know if I can live through that. Right. That is when God, I know it's from God. When I get excited about an idea and think it's great, that's of me. And every single time I've made that mistake, I've paid a price. And every single time I've told God no and gone the other way, I've been vomited up on a beach with less than I had before, because he needed me to understand that I'm not allowed to play with nice things until I do my effing job. So it's kind of like sending you guys out. I don't get sent out with a Suburban and some backpacks and some snacks and stuff. I get dropped in the middle of nowhere with basically a stick and a rock, and they're like, go figure it out. And that's it. And so everybody who's waiting for God to give them the nonprofit, or maybe once we start getting donation, you know what? Maybe once you get your ass out there, you'll start getting the donation. Don't get it backwards. God will never give you something to steward if you piss off what you already have. And if you go out with nothing and you believe it's from God, I swear to God, no offense, but that's not what that means either. If you go out and do that thing, God will show you how to walk blindly every day, because if you can't walk blindly and you don't have the cliff notes, you won't be able to follow him. And you need to be a logistics support person. You need to give your money to people like him who do things. Everyone wants to be the tip of the spear, but it sucks, because if you really do it, God said you will be hated, you will be maligned, they will come after you, they will try to destroy you and even kill you. Which apostle got a mansion for being a great speaker? Which man of God got rewarded other than, well, I mean, what, whether it's Saul, and he even screwed that up too. Saul, yeah, he got rewarded, but he got screwed because he didn't pay attention to his family. He worshiped his money in the end more than any family. And so that's the thing. Some of us are not responsible enough in certain ways. And if you aren't, there's other ways. Your treasure is more valuable to people like him and me than you could ever imagine. I've had times when I couldn't feed myself for days, but someone walked up to me who I didn't know and gave us money. That convention, when I went down there with Rustin, I don't think I finished that Monday night. We left. So Monday night at our convention, they destroyed everything. They were only going to have 3 priorities, not 15. They were only going to be, so our own party rigged rigged our convention. And so I spent all day Monday on the phone calling people, doing what I do in the background to destroy that. So we broke it, we got back. And so it was the end of the day. We had no hotel room because we had no money, but I knew we were supposed to be there. So we're getting ready to go sleep in his Lexus, whatever. And some lady walks up to me and she said, what do you do? And then what that means at convention is like, what's your issue? Give me your 2 minutes. Do I like you? Do not, kind of like John Birch Society, Convention of States. I mean, Jesus, they always battle. That's like watching NASCAR. I love that. But I know the leaders of both their groups and they get along, but their people don't. So this lady comes up and says, what's your issue? She said, what do you do? And I thought, so I gave her my 2-minute little speech on, I'm here to destroy judges and save the family. And she said, okay, and just reached around and handed me something. And I looked, and it was like $500. And I said, and I said, no, I'm not taking donations. She said, I'm not giving you one. God told me to give this to you, and I wanted to make sure I had the right person. And I said, wow. Huh? And she said, when you answered me, you're the one. I never saw her again, and I was there the whole week. And I talked to thousands, and I never saw her again.
Angel. That's great.
No, but I can live that way because I don't have a family and children. My son, I have not seen in 6 years because a judge told me, if you do not stop praying with your child, I will terminate your parental rights. And after I went through about 6 months of thinking of blowing my brains out because I was suicidal, because I knew my son is going through what I went through as a child. And so I felt and so I was going to kill myself. And then God said, I heard the voice of God. And then I went and did what he said. And that's why I'm here today. He told me exactly what to do. He didn't tell me how it was going to come out. He said, tomorrow you'll get up and do this. And so today I got up. The demons talked to me. And then, right, I hear them every morning. Every time I think I'm not good enough and I failed at everything. And if you were really that good, your family wouldn't be apart and you could have protected your son. Why didn't you protect your son? You're the expert in the area. You fix other people's kids, but you can't even protect your own. Then I go smoke a cigarette because I smoke and I'm proud of it. And y'all can kiss my ass. I don't care. And I drank a bunch of caffeine. And I said, I don't want to do this podcast. I don't feel like it. I don't have it in me. I'm exhausted. And I got in the car and I got here and I called Jim, who's in the next office and who is going to be the next SREC SD1 man in Texas. And he is a rock hard conservative and I endorse him. And I called him and I pulled up in the parking lot and I called my campaign manager, hoping that we screwed something up so I didn't have to get on here because I'm so exhausted I cannot tell you. And I walked in and I set everything up and maybe my phone's, I don't want to be on here. But I knew the moment I sat down, when we started talking, I would go from being here to sitting right here. The entire time we're here, I'm watching myself do this, not in the way you think, but it's like I'm half a second in front of you and it's almost like I'm watching myself perform and
Mhm.
coach myself. And I've
Right.
never gotten on stage or testified in front of anybody since 2022 when my brain, this thing I've all done my whole life, went on some kind of crack binge, meth binge, and it hasn't turned off. And so I know, even though I don't want to be here, the moment I sat down, God will take care of it. I'll say whatever I need to say. I might even say some stuff and people will go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. But there is someone who will watch that clip, that phrase, that thing, and it will cause something to happen. I may never, ever, ever, ever see it. And I may never know. I may not complete this. I may never see my son, but I will complete this. But I just know how things will turn out. And right now I'm energized and it's going to be over. And most likely me and Jim are going to go do something and then we're going to meet something I wouldn't have met. And that's it. It's like every one of my days is like 16 folded into one task, but I'm not allowed to know what those things are until I get there. And so if I show up, God says surprise, and it's usually some crap I don't want. And so we have a very odd relationship. And then we bitch all the way home. And then other times I show up thinking I'm supposed to talk to Paxton today, but I'm not. I was supposed to meet this lady who runs a nonprofit who has a friend, and that's the thing.
Hmm.
I'm not given the outcome other than it will be good, bad, or whatever. Just show up. And that's just basically how I roll. And because I don't have anything, they can't take my job. They can't take my car. I have a dog. I have firearms and I have clothes and a computer that's about that big so I can throw it in a backpack. And if I can move in moments, and I've had to do that. So you can't do it if you have a family. You can't do it if you have a job, right? Because all my accounts went into receivership 2 years ago. So I don't even live on the grid that way. I'm
Wow.
basically the guy with tinfoil in his hat. And the moment I get my hands on a Class C and rip all the electronics out of it, we're going to go to a, but that's it. Vote for me for RPT president because I hate your government more than you do. I swear to God, I do. And there is no way in the world they will ever buy me off because, well, they want me dead. Vote for me. I mean, that's it. That is my campaign. And I don't care if you vote for me or not. I'm going to put these people in prison. And I'm going to do it over and over and over because the moment I get that first judge indicted, my child will be back to me within a month because there won't be a judge or a lawyer in the state who'll take that case. And the
Mm.
moment, did you understand that all immunity comes from the judge? All immunity for everyone is based on judicial immunity. So if I get a judge indicted for what they did in the course of their job for violating their oath of office, not for the crime they committed, it's a very big distinction. If I get that indictment, I can indict every state rep, every senator, and in my case, including my governor, for crimes they committed in office that violate. I am setting the precedent to indict every sitting official without the use of a district attorney or an attorney general because our constitution didn't close that loophole. That's where, remember I talked about the two courts? When they created the statutes that created the DAs to lock it down so no one can get through their criminal side, they left a back door. Just like with viruses, I found that back door and I talked to it about some people who are extremely powerful. And I said, what if this, this, and this happened? And they said, oh my God, that would be horrible. Let's see if you can make it happen because legally they can't help me, right? Legally, they would be in trouble because there's no statute that allows them to do it. So I've basically been the state's DA without anyone knowing for months. And now that everything is on the cusp, I'm announcing the prosecutions and indictments that are about to come. Merry Christmas. Happy June. Welcome to my sandbox. They call me Baba Yaga. I live under your bed because I live in your industry. I know things about them. Yeah, no, that's it. I played the biggest psyops game on anyone. I have set up a coup. The CIA should hire my ass instead of sending y'all in there. I did this by myself with no funding. And when I say by myself, I don't mean that. I mean, we've got a nonprofit that's a beard. We've got all kinds of agencies we created on the spot to fill that need. Right, you go set up shop and you need a little farm that sells eggs as cover. We went and got a local to run our egg shop. We rented it from the old lady that everyone knows, but they hate her because they don't want to come out and see her. So we kept them away so they didn't see our gear. That's what we've done. And they thought I was a stupid redneck because I wear overalls and I don't use fancy words like dopaminergic and serotonergic. I can talk about your HPA axis and your cortisol levels all day long, but I didn't need to do that. I needed you to think I was stupid and not a threat. And 4 weeks ago, my opponents and some other people were like, "You're irrelevant, drop out." Now they call me and ask me to make deals with their campaigns or support their candidates. Oh, yeah, I told you about the 2 meetings I just had.
Yeah.
All I did was reach out and let them know what I was going to do, and they asked me for a meeting. And I appreciate that. And I'm going to publish exactly not everything, but I will let everyone know on Friday who has agreed to help me, who has known and refused to help me. And that will be a document that will document their violations of their oath of office for not doing their duty. And the moment I get an indictment on a judge for that, because their immunity is weaker, every person I have given the affidavits will be prosecutable within the next 6 months if I'm successful. And so I was not random about who I gave them to. I was very intentional about setting y'all up. Merry Christmas. That's what I've done to the Republican Party of Texas. Because when I get God back here and we burn these vines off, guess what? We won our entire state, and all those demons can go back to wherever they came from. They can all leave our borders. They can go back to the cartels. They can go back to the child rapers and the pedos, because we have laws on the books to deal with every single thing that we say we're fighting. We just don't enforce it. And this becomes the enforcement mechanism across the state. Prison, treble damages, right off the bat. Do it for a year. Of course, you're going to get one or two officials who are caught up in the wrong thing. But imagine the hundreds of thousands of civilians who aren't caught up in the wrong thing, because we have honesty and openness and everything is shown on camera. I want every court in this state to be on a pay-per-view channel for the high end. OJ, okay, $5 a month, but you want to watch your local court, you should be able to hit it and pop that channel and watch all day long. You should be able to have watch an eye on JP court no matter what. Screw you in closing stuff. Oh yeah, let's turn it into Judge Judy and that whole thing where the chaos in the courts, and then we prosecute them. We literally make money for the subscription, and then we get to prosecute them. Then we don't have to pay their retirement. We don't have to pay their benefits. And then if after we prosecute them, we go back and talk about how they broke their contract for being a judge and the money, and we use the OIG, the Inspector General, to rip that money and take their generational wealth away. And now their child has to go get a real job instead of being a partner in a law firm. Oh yeah, no, I'm here to destroy generational wealth, lives, and everything. Yeah, I'm not just stopping. I'm here to make you feel like I felt when you told me I would never see my child again for praying with him. And when you told me, when I said, you can't do this, and they looked at me and said, what are you going to do about it? And the bitch laughed in my face. Sorry about those words, but that redheaded woman, the associate judge in the 233rd in Tarrant County, Texas, named Kate Stone, laughed in my face and said, what are you going to do about it? No one will ever do anything. And she meant it. And she was happy in the thing I see. I saw it. And once I got through it and God told me to quit being a whatever and get up and do my job. Oh yeah, this is what we're doing. This is where we're at, because I'm going to finish my job. This thing will change. There's even if they killed me tomorrow, the things that have been put in place, the relationships that have been made, I'm done. Well, when I say done, in 3 months if I don't die. If I do, it'll be a year and a half, but it'll still happen. There's nothing they can do. But that's it. I'm not running a campaign because I want to be political. I'm running an announcement of the purge of this Republican Party of Texas, because part of that keeps me alive and it keeps me out of prison. Because the more eyes on me, it's harder for them. I moved literally 2 times this past year because I was told that I would be harmed by local constables and deputies. And I was told this by sitting criminal judges in the county. They said, you will be harmed if you are pulled over. Never go anywhere alone. I got my body camera in the backpack. I'm not allowed to go anywhere without witnesses, and I'm not even supposed to be living alone, according to my people, but my people suck because they're all volunteers and we have no money. They're just really good about scrambling at the last minute and throwing me in a car and hauling ass out. We've had to do that quite a few times.
Wow.
When I go to events, I'm not allowed to drive myself in and out because I don't have to ID myself if I'm not driving. And so I get escorted in and out. We've been pulled over for an hour and 45 minutes for failing to maintain a right-hand turn. We had 6 cars pull up on us in Wise County on a Monday night at 6:30. That's their whole police force, by the sheriff sergeant who doesn't patrol, right? And they all posted up in position, except for one guy who was drinking a Slurpee and kept getting yelled at, right? For a failure to maintain right-hand turn. We sat there for an hour and 45 minutes and he's like, I need to know your name. And I'm like, you got an articulable suspicion? I'm over there on my phone. We were there he made 4 phone calls and finally came back and said, get out of this county. Don't stop. Don't get gas. Just go, get out. And so then when we started to leave, they had a car pacing us a quarter mile ahead. So we slowed down to let them get further ahead. Well, they waited for us on the next hill. So at the next hill, my redneck buddy turned off the lights and hooked it down a dirt road through somebody's land he knew. Yeah, no, my life I live like a drug dealer. I live like a criminal. I live like a Sicario cartel. That's how I'm treated by my government. But
Mm.
the thing is, I used to be all those things, and that's why I can do this. If
Yeah.
I had a child with me, I couldn't. If I had a job, I couldn't. But the exact way they tried to force me to live, thinking it would crush me, I excelled at it when I was a dope dealer. I excelled at it when I was a criminal. I am in my environment. And the beautiful thing is, I get to honor my God by committing violence against people in political realms, in their reputations. And I am good about violence. I'm exceptional about overwhelming violence. I am. You know what I'm talking about. I am
Oh, yeah.
so good about this that when I walk in rooms, people I've never met will yell at me and leave, and I don't have to say anything to them. I've had people scream at me, get the F away from me, and they had never met me before in their life,
Wow.
but it wasn't the person that was yelling at me. That's what I do. I come to them and I go to them and I make them deal with me because I know they can't hold that mask. They will do that thing, and others may not see what I see, but they'll say there's something effing wrong with that person. They'll see James Tallarico in the Republican that I need them to see it in, because they're not stupid. Demons do not inhibit just Democrats. Demons are everywhere. They run stuff because God said they would run stuff. So in our state, they're Republicans. In California, they're Democrats, right?
Mhm.
Demons are not morons. They are smarter than any human, right? They're angels. So why do we think that they're that poor crackhead's probably, no, that poor crackhead's might be, but he's probably the one that he just left to come get in your seat of your car and follow you around all day because you want to bastardize and be a California, or not a well, it's the same thing, a cafeteria Christian, California Christian, no offense, but it's that thing. You don't get to pick and choose. The things that I hate and don't want to do are the ones that God really wants me to do. He doesn't give a crap what I feel like. He said, I will find joy in him. He never said I'd find pleasure and happiness and da da da. He said, my life will suck and they will try to destroy you if you follow me. So every day that I'm miserable, I know I'm doing my job as long as I did not do that thing to myself. Amen.
Amen.
Sorry, it's like a sermon. I get my speeches get. I think I'm going to do a 5 or 6. So I'm not a pastor, man. I'm a horrible example of a Christian. I am. No, I'm not. I do not. I don't want anyone to have mine. I'm a horrible
I
representative.
get that sometimes too, but yeah,
But
not even close. The farthest from it.
I think when I go in, 'cause I'm going to get there on Sunday and I'm going to leave probably the next Sunday. So we're hitting the ground 8 a.m. Monday morning, and again, it will be an autopilot thing. I probably won't remember 90% of the things I say or who I meet. It's like I'm not even going. I'll be sitting out front smoking cigarettes, and my body's just out talking to people. Um, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Monday through Saturday sermon. Like I've been getting so preachy. It's like I'm talking about myself, like I'm not really here. But I have been getting so preachy lately. I'm starting to see what he's about to do. He's going to, and this sound, and it says no, this is just an observation, because this is not what I intended to do. I wanted to go in and I'm going to take scalps and ears and heads and put them all over the wall. That's what I like to do. I like you to see the names of your friends. I like you to know that I'm coming. That's what I like. Now I think he's going to make me do this. I think I'm just going to have a sermon the whole week. I feel like I'm about to pull off a revival. Well, it's just weird because that's not how I operate. It's like putting you in civilian clothes and taking away your gun and saying, hey, we will give you this pin, which can be very handy, but that's all you're getting, brother. You kind of feel a little naked and you're like, this isn't my jam. I'd rather, So I'm not real sure what's going to happen, but I know it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So I can plan all I can plan until I get there and they all go out the window.
Yeah, with me, the pin would be a great weapon, but I don't need it. So,
and some of us are less skilled. So and that's what I tell people. Well,
I,
see, because
I think you're quite skilled in the ways of what you're speaking about. So I think
that's the thing.
That's why
Everybody,
they're like, get out of here.
Yeah, well, everybody wants to be you in that context, right? But they can't. They just physically can't. But it's more so the mental thing, and you know what I mean. It's not about your physical badassedness. It's about what you can do to yourself mentally to lock doors and not open them, no matter what. No matter what, you will not open that door, because this moment you do, you will break. And you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But if you can keep that shut, you can be the smallest dude or the most out of shape dude. But if you can do that thing, you can do your job. And most people can't do it. And the only people who know what we're talking about right now, they kind of get a grasp. The ones who know it know exactly. They're visualizing those, whether it's, for me, it's doors with crossbars, and sometimes I will literally solder them or weld them. I have a visual representation of what I must do and what you had to do on occasions, because you cannot think about certain things when you are in certain places or it will destroy you.
Exactly.
I have that 24/7 all day long in my head. I can see them, I can open them. And that's what gives me the ability to do this, because I can open their doors, the one they think they can't. I can say the word to make them think about their family in the most inappropriate. And I don't know how I can do it, but I know if I say this about this, it'll make them think about their child. And now I own them on my issue. But if it's my enemy, I can also say the thing that I know that will destroy them and make them scream and yell in my face. And everybody will go, why is that candidate screaming at Brooks? And he's just talking like this. Brooks is the nicest guy in the world. He helped us adopt our children. He is abusing Brooks. Brooks is an old man. Brooks is out of shape. He's not a physical threat to anyone. And that is it. That is it. And so, and the thing is, they can go watch I've got over 2 years of videos telling them step by step, I'm going to do this to you first. Then I'm going to do this. So my theme throughout all of them is let your yes be yes, because every single thing I said that was impossible to do happened, not because of me, but because God said, if you do this, this will happen. So I just let them all know. And they've never been able to thwart a single effing thing. And I've even told them face to face, I'm going to do this thing to you. I'm going to give it to the DA. The DA is not going to do that. And I've told them the whole process. And they said, go do it. And I did. And now they're retiring, they're dropping out, they're leaving. They're trying to prosecute me for unauthorized practice of law in 6 different counties. I mentioned I was getting those candidate signatures to run against those justices who, the Supreme Court justices. So Blacklock and Busby, 2 sitting Supreme Court justices, their campaigns have sicked former Secretary of State Tom Scott, I suck with names. Our former Secretary of State has personally been calling county chairs all over Texas where I visited to get them to make criminal statements against me so they
Wow.
can prosecute me with election integrity when they won't go in and to prosecute anything else. But they're doing it because if they can show that me is a criminal, they could have thrown out all those signatures, but they couldn't. And
Hmm.
I watched the hearing where the current sitting RPT attorney, Rachel Hooper, and in my humble opinion, is not a Christian or Republican at all, argued not only to keep those judges off the ballot illegally, which they did because of that time lapse I explained. She called me everything but a son of God, accused me of every crime there possibly was, stated I was being investigated in all these counties, which I was. So it's on the record. So this dumb moron put it on the record. And when the judge said, tell us what he did, quit saying words, she couldn't. And the judge said, we're not having this. So then they went and found a random thing somebody else did and kept these, they were just stalling for time. That's what they were doing.
Hmm.
But I have it on a court of record, slander live, because and so they accused me of being a campaign manager. I never got paid for a thing I've ever done for any of these people because God told me not to take their money. He told me to show up, spread the word, get a job, and then leave. Kind of like what he told the apostles. I'm not an apostle. I want to make that clear, but I have to go work for my living. And when I work, people take care of stuff. That's just how if I sit on my ass, nothing happens. And so that's been this whole thing. But I'm being investigated and prosecuted for election fraud, for being a grassroots activist, for unauthorized practice of law, for I think it's about 7 or 8 guys I got who are not in prison currently because anybody can file a habeas corpus as long as you know the facts. And I probably have 6 or 7 of them currently in front of both the Court of Criminal Appeals and the Supreme Court of Texas. And on the Supreme Court side, I've permanently recused Blacklock and Busby because they're trying to put me in prison so they have no business ruling on any case that my name's on. So I've kind of tied everything up in this ball that no matter, remember those little toys as a kid? It was like the sticky man, you throw it and it kind of stuck down the wall. And it was great until it touched the carpet in the car and it got full of all that garbage and crap all over it and it was worthless.
Yeah.
What I've done is send that sticky man out to the carpet of the judiciary.
Hmm.
And they've all touched it. And they all thought I was stupid. And they all thought I was a moron. But I've been playing a long game for about 4 years. It's all coming to a head in June. So it's going to be the most. I tell people, if you're not a delegate, come just to watch the NASCAR. So in German, it's called Schadenfreude. It's a German term that means gaining pleasure or satisfaction from others' misfortune or pain. So it's why a lot of people watch NASCAR. They don't really care about it. They just want to see the wreck. So Schadenfreude, it will be everywhere at this convention because I will name everybody, friend and foe, that I know is actively harming children. And
Wow.
some of my friends have refused to stop it. I gave them the affidavits and I will say their name out loud from stage and the date that I inform them of the ongoing child abuse happening in their district because I am not playing favorites. And if you ever see me harm a child, you call the police, you come beat my ass, you put me in the ground depending on what I did.
Yeah.
I'm not holding anybody to a different standard because God said, if you believe in him and do these things, I'm to eviscerate you. That's pretty much the short of it. So that's why I'm here and that's why I'm running because, I didn't have anything better to do with my time. I like caffeine. I like cigarettes, I like moving around and what the hell? I was like, hey, it was either this or, Huff Glue, something else. So I thought I'd go with this.
Wow. This was great, Dr. Burks McKenzie. We wish you luck going forward. So if anyone wants to support you or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Well, Gracie, my amazing. So can I give her like a 20-second plug?
Sure.
So Gracie is my campaign manager. I think your people dealt with my people, right? So Gracie's amazing. So let me explain who my people are, and I don't believe Gracie will mind. Gracie is 18 years old. She
Wow.
recently got married. She lives in a multi-generational household because that's how her family chooses to live. Everybody under the same roof, kind of like the Waltons, that crazy stuff. And that's how they live.
Yeah.
They are like significant part of, I want to say Cherokee or something. So they're very traditional, very nuclear family. Her family's never had a ticket, speeding ticket, nothing. But currently, Her 4-year-old brother is living in a confirmed dope house with a confirmed dope addict who in
No.
previous order was ordered to not leave this child in a dope house and go running around prostituting yourself basically in order to get money to come back to the dope, right? Drop the kid off as insurance to go get money to come back and get drugs. 3-year-old, right? So everybody knew, but no, that her brother is in that environment because of the kind of corruption I'm talking about. I'm also the expert witness in her state because I'm the foremost expert in the state of Texas. So I interjected myself into that case, and then I filed a criminal affidavit as an individual citizen outside the case because I can do that. So we initiated an investigation asked for by the DA in this case, so he's a good one, to the Attorney General. And when the Attorney General said, I don't have money, or his low-level staff, who's basically, let's get rid of all the problems, said that, that's when we rounded up the senators. So I'm a problem fixer. If I come to you and ask you to do your job and you tell me no, I will go find a way to make you effing do it. And so that's Gracie. She's 18, just married. Her brother, which is destroying her every day, is living in what we know is one of the most dangerous environments in the world for a child. And her father just got out of jail, who had never had a ticket in his life because he refused to turn that child over to a drug user. The mother currently has a warrant to put her in jail for refusing to turn that child over to a drug user.
Jesus.
And the DA in the county has recognized that this judge has committed crimes and asked our sitting Attorney General to help and has been told no.
God.
So I'm going to make it happen because of who I know. And the moment I make it happen in one case, I've called, what is that? What do they call that? Case law. I'm going to set case law in Texas. And I have the legislators who are going to codify it this session so that every one of us can do it. Do you want to guess what do you think the attrition rate of judges is about to be across this state? I imagine we will see a wholesale fleeing. But the thing is, when you leave office, it doesn't get rid of I can come after you whether you're the judge or not. Like if you run into my car with your truck and go get a new job, that doesn't change anything. So yeah, but that's Gracie. So Gracie is the one that if she can reach out and send you all that stuff, because honestly, I don't know it. Like I can barely answer my phone calls. And this is how ghetto grassroots we are. I don't think we have a donation link because I went into receivership. All my money's gone. I have nothing. I can never have anything in my name again. Well, I'm sure I can. They'll just steal it again. But whatever PAC or something's being, we don't even have the competence to set that up. So we don't even have a donation link. It's supposed to be coming in the next day or two, but God pays for me to get there. When he wants me to have a donation link, I'm sure Gracie will send it to you. But yeah, I go and do what I'm told and figure it'll take care of itself because I just don't have a choice. He's just beating me into submission. I just quit on that front. I'm just like, I'll go wherever, do it. But yeah, we're supposed to have one rolling out. Hopefully we will soon. But the honesty is this is just broken ass people who got together and said, we're not going to do it anymore. That's it.
People, that's what we've been saying. It doesn't have to be famous or successful. Grassroots is what that's everything I've ever done that has been resisted. I just went grassroots and I got it done.
Well, nobody in the system will help you break their piggy bank, right?
Yeah,
they won't.
But once you break their system, then everything will flow to you and everything will help you. So I think that's coming for you. So yeah, Gracie gets with us and gives us donate if you want a donation link or if you want a contact link, whatever. Yeah, we'll post it in here. It's the spot is waiting. So and we got over 500,000 people that could potentially have eyes on this. So it's
you know what? If most of them would simply hit their knees and pray.
There you go.
Bring us up.
Absolutely. Great point. That's stronger than all the money in the world.
Mm-hmm. It's the only reason I'm alive.
Yeah.
It's the only reason you're alive.
Exactly. I was about to say that. Yep. Absolutely. No question about it. All right. Dr. Brooks McKenzie. So great pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll have you back on. Great. Hope you pray that you have great success going forward. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Okay. All right. That's fantastic. I appreciate this, brother. And Gracie just texted me literally right now and said, we'll send an email. So you're going to get an
Very
email.
good. Very good. So everyone check back because there will be some stuff in the description box for Dr. Bruce McKenzie. All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your time, sir. And God bless you. And
Bless you.
if you ever need anything, I have a very unique skill set. I can probably help you with damn near anything you ever need. And I'm not exaggerating. It does. If you can explain the problem to me, I will help you, sir.
Fantastic. Well, thank
Have a
you.
blessed day.
I got some skill sets too, so you might need those.
There's a very good chance that I might be asking to come and sleep in your backyard. So yeah.
Outstanding.